In a shocking and heartbreaking incident, 23-year-old Mexican beauty influencer Valeria Marquez was shot dead while live streaming on TikTok.
Valeria Marquez, a 23-year-old Mexican beauty influencer, was tragically shot.
A social media influencer is shot to death while doing a TikTok live stream at her beauty salon just outside Guadalajara in central Mexico.
Ya viene. Sí. Hola. Sí.
Femicide is not something from a textbook. It's happening right now in Mexico. The most terrifying thing is that the rates of femicide are increasing every day. Just in the last month, more than 500 women were killed, with approximately 80 cases classified as femicides murders, where the victim's gender was the motive. One such case was the murder of Valeria Marquez. It was so brazen that she was killed during a live TikTok broadcast in front of thousands of viewers from her audience. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments which city you're watching from and what time it is they're in. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Your support helps push this video to more people, and it could literally save someone's life. Valeria Marquez was born in 2002 in Guadalajara, cultural and economic capital of Jalisco State, Mexico. She was only 23 years old and was known as a model and beauty influencer. It's worth noting that Jalisco is one of the most dangerous regions in the country, especially due to drug cartel activity. The notorious Jalisco New Generation cartel is particularly active here. Valeria's family belonged to the middle class. Little is known about her parents, but they always supported their daughter's career aspirations. Details about her childhood remain largely unknown. She received her secondary education at one of the schools in Guadalajara, where she already showed considerable interest in fashion and beauty. Available data does not indicate any connections between her family and the criminal world, although her personal life later seemingly intersected with such circles. Valeria's career began in 2021 when she won a local beauty contest, Miss Rostro, Miss Face. This became the starting point of her public activity. She began actively developing her social media presence, especially on Instagram and TikTok. By the time of her death, her audience numbered approximately 220,000 followers on TikTok and over 100,000 on Instagram, an impressive growth over such a short period. Mexican media report that Valeria systematically built her career in the beauty industry. After winning the contest, she focused on creating content for social network sharing, makeup tips, self-care advice, discussing fashion trends, and showcasing her travels. Her Instagram often featured photos from private jets and yachts, indicating a rather affluent lifestyle. In 2023, Valeria opened her own beauty salon, Blossom the Beauty Lounge, in the Zapopan district of Guadalajara. Zapopan is the largest city in Jalisco State, known as a wealthy area, although the crime rate there is high. The salon was located in the Santa Maria Shopping Center in the prestigious Val Real neighborhood. The salon became not only Valeria's business, but also a platform for creating content. She often conducted live broadcasts from her workplace, showing procedures and communicating with followers. Acquaintances spoke of her ambitions to expand her influence in the beauty industry and develop a network of salons. There isn't much reliable information about Valeria's personal life. Local media reported that for some time, she was dating a man nicknamed El Doble R, double R, or El Tripa, Tripa. His real name is Ricardo Ruiz Velasco. According to unofficial data, he has connections to the Jalisco New Generation cartel, although authorities have not officially confirmed this information. Valeria Marquez's life reflected the contradictory reality of modern Mexico. On one hand, she was a successful young businesswoman and influencer who independently built her career. On the other hand, she lived in an environment where criminal structures significantly impact everyday life. The last months of Valeria's life were filled with social media activity. Her posts indicated business development and plans to expand her audience. There were no obvious signs of anxiety or fear in her posts, although later events showed that she might have felt some threat. 2 months before the tragedy, Valeria published a TikTok video where she posed with her friend influencer Vivian. The caption spoke about their beauty and the absence of signs of a quarrel. This video later became an important element in the investigation of her murder. Valeria's profile was dominated by photographs from luxurious places and events. She regularly received expensive gifts from fans, which according to some versions could have provoked jealousy in her circle. Such presents were a common occurrence in her life, as her friend Vivian later mentioned. A few weeks before the tragedy, Valeria did not publicly express particular concern about her safety. However, in her last broadcast, she mentioned strange attempts to deliver a gift to her, which raised her suspicions. This may indicate that she felt some danger but perhaps did not take it seriously enough. Valeria lived in a region with high levels of violence. Jalisco ranks 6th among Mexico's 32 states in terms of murders. According to the consulting company T Research, from October 2024 until Valeria's murder, 906 murders were registered in the state. In such a context, a young woman leading a public life and displaying signs of affluence could easily become a target for criminals. Her salon in Zapopan was located in an area which, despite its wealth and well-maintained streets, is one of the most dangerous municipalities in Jalisco. Shootings regularly occur here, even in luxurious shopping malls. However, according to Zapopan Mayor Juan Jose Frangi, Valeria never approached the authorities regarding threats against her. On May 14, 2025, at 6:30 in the evening, the horrible murder of Valeria Marquez occurred. The tragedy unfolded in her own beauty salon, Blossom the Beauty Lounge. The most shocking detail is that the murder took place during a live TikTok broadcast that Valeria herself was conducting. Thousands of her followers became witnesses to this horror in real time. According to data from the Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office, before the tragedy, 2 men on a motorcycle arrived at the salon. One of them entered and asked if Valeria was present. When she confirmed it was her, the man pulled out a weapon and shot her at least twice, once in the chest and once in the head. In the last minutes of her life, Valeria was conducting a live broadcast. She expressed concern about a stranger who allegedly brought her some expensive gift. In the video, which instantly spread across the internet after the tragedy, Valeria is sitting at a table. In her hands, she's holding a soft toy pink pig received earlier that day. During the broadcast, Valeria suddenly said, "They're coming." Then a male voice was heard in the frame. "Hey, Vale." She simply answered yes and turned off the sound. A moment later, the girl suddenly grabbed her chest and stomach and then fell onto the chair. After this, someone took her phone, and for a brief moment, this person's face flashed in the frame before the broadcast was cut off. The Zapopan police received an emergency call. When municipal police officers arrived at the scene, they confirmed Valeria's death. According to official data, she received 1 shot to the chest and 2 to the head, which led to instant death. At the time of the police's arrival, Valeria's body was still sitting in the chair, and the pink soft toy remained in her hands. The video of the murder spread like wildfire across social networks, although platforms tried to remove it due to its shocking content. Thousands of Valeria's fans became involuntary witnesses to her death in real time. This event caused a huge wave of shock and indignation both in Mexico and beyond its borders. People who were in the salon reported that before the murder, 2 men on a motorcycle stopped at the entrance. One of them entered and introduced himself as a courier who had brought an expensive gift for Valeria. Dennis Rodriguez, a representative of the Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office, shared additional details. The attacker came asking if the victim was there. "It seems he didn't know her," Rodriguez explained. From this, one can draw the logical conclusion, without rushing to assumptions, that this was someone who was paid. Obviously, this is someone who came with a clear purpose. The Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office defined this crime as a possible femicide, the murder of a woman, because of her gender. Although the prosecutor's office did not officially name any suspects, local media, particularly the Milenio publication, reported about the main suspect. They name a man with the nicknames El Doble R or El Tripa. Velasco is an influential member of the Jalisco New Generation cartel operating in Zapopan. He allegedly dated Valeria for several months. Their relationship, as reported, was accompanied by strong jealousy from Velasco. He often got angry about expensive gifts that Valeria received from her admirers. Mexican media also reported about possible threats to Valeria from her former partner. Some publications published alleged text messages between them, which supposedly showed that the ex-boyfriend threatened the girl because of her ignoring him. It should be noted that the identity of the former partner has not been confirmed by independent sources, and it was not possible to contact him for comments. Valeria's family refused to speak with journalists. The Jalisco state prosecutor, Salvador Gonzalez de los Santos, held a press conference on May 17, 2025. He stated, "Everyone connected to this girlfriends, relatives, acquaintances, or boyfriends is under investigation or being questioned." He confirmed that Valeria's murder is being investigated as a possible femicide, but did not comment on whether her ex-boyfriend is a suspect. It's worth considering the broader context in which the murder occurred. On the same day, May 14th, just 2 kilometers from Valeria's salon, former Congressman Luis Armando Cordoba Diaz was killed. He was also shot by 2 attackers on a motorcycle. This murder, according to the prosecutor's office, is also being investigated, and it may be linked to Valeria's death. Additionally, less than 2 days before the influencer's death, in the city of Texas-Tepec in Veracruz State, Yesenia Lara Gutierreza, mayoral candidate from the ruling Morena party, was killed during a political motorcade. As in Valeria's case, the politician's murder was captured by cameras, since the event was being live-streamed on Facebook. Valeria Marquez's murder shook the entire Mexican society and attracted worldwide attention. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum stated that her government is actively cooperating with local investigators to find the killer. She expressed condolences to Marquez's family and urged citizens not to share the video of the girl's death on social networks out of respect for her and her loved ones. Valeria Marquez was buried on May 16th. A bouquet of white roses lay on her coffin. The funeral took place under close police supervision, evidence of the high level of tension and fears of possible incidents. As of today, the investigation into Valeria Marquez's murder continues. The Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office continues to gather evidence and question witnesses. Law enforcement officers are carefully studying surveillance camera recordings and analyzing all of Valeria's social media accounts. They are looking for any clues that might help identify the killer. Ricardo Ruiz Velasco, or El Tripa, is a key figure in the investigation of Valeria Marquez's murder. Although the Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office has not officially named him as a suspect, the influential Mexican publication Milenio already openly points to him as the main suspect. Information about Velasco is quite fragmented and contradictory, which is typical for persons connected with organized crime in Mexico. According to available data, he was born somewhere in the 1980s in Jalisco State. The exact date and place of birth remain officially unconfirmed. Mexican media call Ruiz Velasco one of the leaders of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNGO, one of the most powerful and cruel criminal organizations in modern Mexico. This cartel controls a significant part of Jalisco State and is engaged in drug trafficking, kidnappings, extortion, and other crimes. According to publications in the Mexican press, Velasco leads an elite unit of the cartel involved in high-profile murders and disappearances of people, including celebrities and influencers. He is described as one of the most brutal criminals in the country, although there are no public official charges against him. Ricardo Ruiz Velasco's criminal past, according to published reports, is quite lengthy. In December 2014, the Excelsior publication reported the arrest of 34-year-old Ricardo Ruiz Velasco, nicknamed El Tripa Seca. He was issued 9 warrants for murders committed in 2013 and 2014 in Jalisco, including the murder of the state's Minister of Tourism, José de Jesús Gallegos Alvarez. In March 2013, the article noted that Velasco participated in a shootout with police in Calvillo on April 24, 2013. It was reported that military, naval, and federal police units delivered him to the airport in Guadalajara, from where he was transported by plane to CEDO, Special Counter-Narcotics Investigative Unit, facilities in Mexico City. However, information about his arrests and imprisonment remains unclear and unconfirmed. He may have been released or avoided lengthy imprisonment due to corruption in law enforcement, a common phenomenon in regions where drug cartels operate. Ruiz Velasco is also linked to the murder of model Daisy Ferrer Arenas, whose body was found in a sewage canal in Guadalajara in April 2022. According to local media, he was involved in the murder of Juan Luis Lagunas, known as El Pirata de Culiacán, the Pirate of Culiacán. Lagunas was shot on December 19, 2017, in a bar in Zapopan after he mocked Nemesio Osegura Cervantes, nicknamed El Mencho, the founder and leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, in a video. Despite this official denial, the name of Ricardo Ruiz Velasco continues to appear in discussions of the case in Mexican media and social networks. Mexican society has widespread distrust of official investigations, especially regarding crimes related to drug cartels, due to high levels of corruption and impunity. The Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office, which is conducting the investigation into Valeria Marquez's murder, has repeatedly been accused of connections with cartels, which it denies. According to some sources, up to 90% of crimes in Jalisco State are never registered or properly investigated. It's important to understand that not every murder of a woman automatically becomes a femicide. In Mexico, there are specific legal criteria for such a classification: previous threats or persecution from the killer, sexual violence, demonstrative nature of the crime, particular cruelty, public humiliation of the victim. In Valeria's case, the decisive factor was precisely the public execution of the crime during a live broadcast, a conscious demonstration of power over a woman's life. The Jalisco Prosecutor's Office additionally explained their classification: the nature of the crime, previous threats on social media, the publicity of the murder, as well as the method of execution, professional killing, together form a set of factors that confirm the qualification of this case as femicide. Gemma Clope Santamaria, a sociologist from University College Cork in Ireland who researches gender-based violence in Mexico, explains, femicide reflects the level of saturation, the level of social acceptance of such killings. There is a lot of re-victimization, which allows people to say, let's move on. This is something that won't happen to us. This doesn't happen to good girls. This doesn't happen to decent Mexican women. An important social aspect of femicide is blaming the victim herself for her death, which also happened with Valeria Marquez. After her murder, social networks were filled with comments blaming Valeria herself. She was engaged in dubious business. Her ex was a narco. She brought it on herself. Such victim blaming shows how society normalizes violence against women and creates a culture of impunity. Mexico's National Statistics Agency published shocking data in April 2025. From 2001 to 2024, more than 50,000 women were killed in the country. At the same time, such crimes are rarely solved. Less than 5% of cases end in a conviction. In 2023, Mexico ranked fourth among Latin American and Caribbean countries in terms of femicides per capita. Only Honduras, the Dominican Republic, and Brazil are ahead. However, human rights defenders are confident that the real number of femicides is much higher. Many cases are either not registered as femicides or not recorded at all. Particularly alarming is the fact that, according to the Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office, Valeria Marquez's murder was already the 8th femicide in just the first 2 weeks of May 2025 in the state. This indicates a critical exacerbation of the problem. In recent years, numerous murders of girls and women have caused nationwide outrage and protests, but the situation is not changing. Among high-profile cases, Ingrid Escamilla, a 25-year-old woman who was killed, disfigured, and stabbed with a knife in 2020, 7-year-old Fatima Cecilia Aldraguet, who was kidnapped from school that same year, and whose body was later found wrapped in a plastic bag, 18-year-old Debanhi Escobar, who disappeared near a highway in 2022, and whose body was found in a reservoir 13 days later. Jalisco is among the most dangerous states in Mexico. According to T-Research, since the beginning of Claudia Sheinbaum's presidential term in October 2024, 910 murders have been registered there. This state has been seriously affected by cartel activities. In March 2025, a cartel training center was discovered 50 kilometers from Zapopan, and since 2018, approximately 15,000 people have disappeared in the state. Valeria's murder is not just an individual tragedy. It's a symptom of a deeper social disease that requires comprehensive treatment. Such an atmosphere forms a culture where femicide is perceived as understandable, especially if a woman breaks traditional roles or shows independence. In Mexican culture, the concept of machismo hypermasculinity that glorifies male dominance and aggression is still influential. This phenomenon often justifies violence as a natural manifestation of male power over women. Dr. Maricela Frutos, from the National Autonomous University of Mexico, explains, machismo is not just a cultural trait, but a structural element that supports gender inequality. When women challenge traditional roles, for example through careers in social media, they often become targets of violence as punishment for violating gender norms. At the political level, despite legislative reforms against femicide, Mexico continues to face serious problems implementing these laws. Often, there is a lack of political will, and responsible state institutions remain underfunded and ineffective. According to Nadine Gassman, former head of Mexico's National Institute for Women, even with the historic appointment of the first woman president, the institutional response to gender-based violence remains inadequate. The problem is not in the laws, but in their implementation and the lack of political will for systemic change. The criminal situation in Mexico, especially the influence of drug cartels, creates additional danger for women. Cartels form parallel power structures, act with impunity, and use violence as a tool of control. Women with public profiles, like Valeria Marquez, become targets not only because of their gender but also because of their visibility in a society where organized crime has significant influence. Although the problem of femicide is systemic, there are practical tips that can help women increase their safety in conditions of high risk of gender-based violence. How to recognize early signs of danger. A partner controls your social contacts, finances, clothing, or shows excessive jealousy. You are isolated from friends and family. You are verbally abused, humiliated, or threatened. Your partner has sharp mood swings and unpredictable aggression. There have been previous instances of physical violence, even minor ones. Safety measures in everyday life. Develop a personal safety plan with quick ways to exit the home and contacts for emergency assistance. Inform loved ones about your whereabouts and plans, especially in new places. Avoid routine routes and schedules that make your movements predictable. Install safety apps on your smartphone that can quickly send an alarm signal in case of danger. Take care of yourselves from such things. Thank you for being with me throughout this video. May Valeria rest in peace, and may her sacrifice not be in vain. For us, we must fight for justice. Your Detective, Brooks.